Now I'm going to start to address a little bit of the connection. And already, just by giving him some boundaries, I don't know if you guys can tell, his energy is just, has just kind of settled here. And that's because the leader has arrived, right? Now that I'm giving him leadership and I'm not just hanging on to the end of the rope, now he's starting to feel comfortable. And he's still approaching me there, but he's doing it with a little bit more politeness and he's not kind of charging in. So that's the key. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk towards his hindquarters and I'm going to ask him to face me. Wherever I go. I don't want him to get there before I do. And by yielding his hindquarters, this was a way that we can start to build some connection. So I want to yield the hindquarters until I get that outside eye. So this starts to help build connection. It helps to relax the horse because they're disengaging their hindquarters, so they're calming down. That's a body position or posture for them that helps them to think about settling, not revving up and engaging more. That's why we call it disengaging the hindquarters. And then it also helps build some lightness to the halter because I never pull on the halter to get him here. Do you guys notice that? I'm just walking over here, and if I needed more pressure, I would drive the hindquarters more. Thank you. And if he were to leave, I would hold on that rope. So if I put pressure and he thought the answer is leave, I would hold and wait for him to kind of run into the halter and then turn and face. And the key to this is horses don't like to be told where to go. And so if I pull him and I tell him turn over here, then I'm kind of making him do that. And that's okay to start off with, like with a Mustang or a super green horse. But where he's at, he needs to just have a little more responsibility to be easier to kind of handle on the ground. So we can get that by just giving him slack in that rope, yielding those hindquarters and saying, hey, it's your job to stay connected with me. So now that he knows this, from this point on in his training, if he gets that far off look and he's looking at something across the field or he's hooked onto another horse, as soon as he does that, like right there, I'm going to shoot around over here and put some pressure and say, hey, the relief is here with me. Now there, he's looking, but I bet you if I just step there, I could get his eyes on me. And so you can see it didn't take a whole lot. So that last one, I went and put some pressure with a stick and string because I kind of caught him a little bit more distracted. It was a good training opportunity. Not every moment is a training moment. And so this last one here, when he looked a little bit that way, I kind of stepped over here and he looked at me right away. Well, there's no training moment there. He's doing it. But there isn't a correction there where he's really learning something. So when I get him where he's really distracted, that was a good opportunity to fix it and communicate to him, hey, the relief is here with the human. Now we want to take it a step further. Now we have some connection. We have some, you could call it respect. It's not really respect. It's more like responsibility of staying out of my space. He doesn't think of it as, oh, I respect the human now. It's more of like, that's how we would think of it. It's more like he understands that he's going to run into pressure if he crowds me. Then we build some connection by going to those hindquarters. Now I want to build some lightness to the halter. And so what I'm going to do a couple things. I'm going to ask him to circle me here. And I'm going to be a post. And I'm going to put my hand at my hip here. And I'm going to drive him around me, the 3-circle game. A lot of you guys know that I'm big on this game. And so I'm teaching him these boundaries that he has to operate in. And I really like that. Again, I've been working on this last couple days, and I'm pretty happy that this is actually sticking. But see, he's got to give me some room without pulling on the halter. So there's that little pull. So I hold, and then I wait for him to get soft. There's I think it's a Ray Hunt saying, or maybe it's a Buck Brannaman saying, and it goes like this: no horse ever got softer by the rider pulling on the reins. Okay, and it's same is true with the ground. No horse ever got softer to that halter by the human pulling on them stronger, better with the lead rope. But that doesn't mean the person didn't hold strong. So you got to hold without pulling. There's a big difference. Big difference. See right there, I'm holding and I'm waiting for him to come around there within those boundaries. Here I'm holding I'm holding. Good. And whenever he comes off of it, it doesn't chase him or follow him. Now, I like to have my hand at my hip because I feel like that's a stronger position. That away. It's a stronger position for me, and it's more consistent. If I have my hand out here, it's easy to get pulled off balance. You know, I'm really out of position there a lot. So have your pinky closest to the snap on the lead rope, lock your hand at your hip, and then push that horse around you. Hey, don't crowd me. There we go, there we go. Now we're cooking. Oh, crowded me there a little bit again. So I said, hey, can you give me a little space there? So now we're already starting to kind of refine some of these things. Don't crowd me there. So he's got to maintain that position all the way around. All the way around. So he's going to learn. He's going to run into pressure every time on that offside when he chooses to crowd through me. He really committed to it that time. Sometimes it gets a little worse before it gets better. Let's see if he makes a different decision here. Oh, he did. So I'm going to give him relief right there. So the second he made it a change there and he made a decision. You know, and it might seem like a little thing, but I had to give him the opportunity. If he started to come in a little bit, and if I was right there ready to correct, he wouldn't have had that opportunity to step back out and go, actually, I'm going to make a different decision this time. So when you're doing these things and you're putting pressure on them, try to fight that human nature to get locked into it, to where no matter what, you're going to put pressure on them. You know, I'm ready to put pressure on them, but I'm also ready to not put pressure on them. The second they make a change and they stay around there, say there he's crowding, so I tap. That was kind of a big one. So I put a little more pressure on it there. There we go, that's better. So he wasn't soft on the halter. Oh, there he crowded me again. And now he's kind of saying all bets are off. There we go. Nice. He made some good decisions there. He's thinking through that pressure. Very good. Now he's pulling on that halter, but he's giving me space. And my safety has to come first. He has to give me space as he comes around. And now that I have space and I'm safe, now we're just going to keep playing until he softens onto that halter. So I'm holding, I'm being a post here, waiting for him to get softer. There. Keep going. Again, holding. There. That felt better. So I added pressure there again because he was really pulling on that halter. I set that up again. I was just ready to release him, and then he gave another big pull right at the end. There. There we go. Good. Find relief in here. Good boy. I'm going to ask him to put his head down there. Now, another little thing that's important when you're talking about getting a horse softer is if I want to bring him in more, I need to move my feet backwards and away from him. That's going to create some draw if I want draw. If I want drive, if I want him further away from me, I need to move my feet towards him and ask him to step in. At the end of the day, he needs to understand both things. But the person on the end of the rope needs to be very aware of which one is going to get you, what results. Because it's a huge change to the horse. If you're stepping into him like this, see how that created some pull on there? So if I step away from him as I'm circling him, so I didn't quit circling him yet, this is going to create draw, which is going to help him keep slack in that rope. You can see all the slack we got in that rope now. Very good. And so, excuse me, it's a little tricky, but you guys can see, because we're kind of dealing with a few different things here, but you guys can kind of see it coming through there as we go. And yeah, you'll get the hang of this here eventually.